Raj Ganesan. He's the founder and managing director of the Business Labs in US. Uh, Raj Ganesan is from an engineering background with a degree in electronics engineering. Sorry, electrical engineering, MS in computer science from Widener University, MBA from Duke University for about 13 years now since the Business Labs was founded. Raj had been providing strategic and management consulting services for transforming business operations, finance, and accounting organization with deep expertise in business process reengineering, continuous improvement, Lean Sigma, and other operational improvement areas. Leadership to streamline global operations, develop shared services, outsource, insource operations. Experience includes leadership to build and manage engineering operations and software development and SaaS product management. He also has a rich blend of ERP operations, financial control, and process improvement skills. I closely work with Raj Ganesan on the robotic process automation. He is an expert of RPA. Over to you, Raj. And before you start, I should really thank you for keeping yourself up at 3 a.m. now for you. And thanks for accepting our invite. Over to you, Raj.
Thank you. You don't need to go through all those because ultimately what I do is I solve business problems for the clients we represent. So let me cut to the chase, answer these questions, and in that process, I'll tell you the methodology we used and whether this in these type of environments or in general environments. So what we did once I got invited, I had my team look at randomly pick two AI platforms and pick a traditional ATS recruitment platform, which is purely a database and a search. And we automated using RPA. So this is to answer these three questions I have in front of me.
Yeah.
So the two AI platforms, we uploaded a bunch of resumes and we want to compare how these are going to perform. And I'll give you the some of the quirks, some of these gaps that you should be knowing. And this would answer what are you required in terms of adopting automation. So no two AI platforms perform the same way. If I have 10 resumes and I put in one keyword, I will probably get the answer. That's the same thing with a traditional keyword search. So fundamentally, we realized there are only two models that AI companies have used, and that's the same thing what Microsoft, your file search is going to use. Either it is depth-based, DFS, or breadth-based, BFS, which is basically it searches all the keywords and then compiles based on that, or it is based on the depth of how deep I need to go for searching one candidate. So what does it come down to? In order to know the requirement and strike the right balance, you don't get intimidated by any of these technologies. What you have to know, the right balance comes with the right process. So the key is, what is the candidate's persona in three angles? One is the technical skills. Third is the cognitive abilities, the soft skills, those things that you want. And the third is their presence. The later two, the cognitive and their presence, meaning how are they presenting themselves, are things that none of these tools will currently resolve. So you're only looking at what are the technical skills that I'm searching for? What are the basic skills? So all three will do the job, but the right balance is knowing the persona of that candidate or that search. And I do want to mention one other thing in this. We found, and this is without mentioning the name of the product, one of the AI platform claims they have over 700 million resumes. So for you to search for a candidate. If I do a depth-based search or a breadth-based search, do you think I will get the top candidates? I have no way to get the top candidates of my choice or my narrow choice in a quick succession. We come to realize that. So the selling points of AI has to work for you. That's why persona, if I'm in management consulting industry, I need to have the AI platform or the RPA platform work for me, not take what the platform is giving. So be very cognizant of that. So the right balance, again, is the persona of that candidate or the industry profile. Let me switch to the second question. Do you think recruiting community members should start understanding coding, programming, and building algorithms? What skills are necessary to adapt automation? The first skill you need, first of all, let me step back. You don't need any of these skills. No programming skills, no coding. RPA, as Nina pointed out, is a fascinating tool. It's if you can draw a Visio diagram, a workflow, just visually on a whiteboard, that's really where you want to start. RPA is basically translating those keywords into a noun, action based. Go do this, go to this cell, repeat this process. That's how simple. So it's all written in simple English. So really, if you want to learn one thing, learn how to draw a flow chart that is specific to picking up a candidate. I want you to search broadly in New Delhi, in Noida, in this particular order, because the order of preference is often driving these search results. You could try this in LinkedIn. If you put in Delhi first and then candidate, you'll get a different result compared to the candidate skills, MBA, and then Delhi. And they have AI as much as anybody else. So it is knowing the order of priority. The pegging order is critical. That's the skill you need to understand. And that comes from you learning from the business people, the people out there in the field. They would say, and here's a little trick for you. If you ask them, ask your internal business managers or ask your clients, hey, you hired 10 candidates, out of which 4 are really doing well. What is the secret of why they're doing well? And if you ask this question repeatedly in your surveys, you will find one critical response. This is the reason why it worked well. And that's the reason, that's the key skill you need to learn. How do you tap into this intuitive, but often never written in any books? That's the part that you have to learn from listening to the business people, not taking orders from the business people, right? The business manager would say, here's the profile I want. And you often say, I want to understand this. But instead, go back and say, hey, you hired these candidates didn't do well, these candidates did well. Why? So again, no programming skills, only logic, pegging order, and the ability to ask intuitive, interesting questions that helps hiring of good candidates. The third question, what helps organizations accelerate evolution of automation? The starting point for adopting is your ability to give up on your past. And this is key. The reason why this anxiety and all these words came up deep inside, and I'll be very candid here. We often face this challenge in the US more often than any other place. We might lose our job. We might lose our business. We might lose that client. So if something is working, we don't want to change. Automation will change whether you like it or not, will force you to change. So you rather adapt, and RPA is an easy and very quick transition. And that's your starting point for how you transform your company, how you transform yourself. And the key part of that is oftentimes, especially for recruiters, recruiting companies, what we tell, at least in the US, is go call your favorite vendor, RPA vendor, have them do a proof of concept in your premise with your process. Everything is custom for you. You will get a first-hand feel of whether you're open to this, whether you can adapt to automation, and what are the internal cultural challenges. Oftentimes, the biggest challenge you have is nothing to do with technology, nothing to do with the process. It has to do between your 2 ears. Your brain, your ability to resist change is going to be the biggest threat, especially for employees. Hopefully, I've been quite candid. That's my style. So I apologize in case I come across very strong.